The UAW says they're not rushing to endorse Union Joe.
President Biden says he's the most pro-union president in American history, but you haven't endorsed him. What is it going to take for you to do that?
Our endorsements are going to be earned. We've been very clear about that, no matter what politician it is.
How does he earn it?
We expect action. We expect action, not words.
Yeah, how about green action? Former Chrysler chairman and CEO Bob Nardelli joins us now. Bob, you're the perfect person to talk to about this, removed from it, but know all about it. Your thoughts about this strike. Where do you side, with management, or do you side with the workers?
Well, thank you, Brian, for having me on, and congratulations, Lawrence, to join the program. So, Brian, here's where I'm at. I'm looking for a fair, equitable settlement. We know that household income is under a lot of pressure due to this administration's fueling inflation, number one. So I'm not on either side. I'm looking for a fair and honest negotiation.
What's fair
here
when it comes to wages?
Yeah, well, fair was Stellantis came out over the weekend. I was encouraged, put 21% on the table, and I guess it was flat rejected at this point. So I think what's happening here, Brian, is there's tremendous polarization going on between, the big three and the UAW. Now, here's what's happening. They're looking over the fence and they see a settlement with UPS, 40%. But let's keep in mind, UPS settled, but the Teamsters lost 30,000 jobs when they pressured yellow freight. Then they saw American Airlines. They saw the dock workers on the West Coast. So they're in line saying, hey, it's our turn. So I think fair negotiation to try and keep up with inflation for household income. Maybe there should be a cost of living to keep that steady as we go forward. But some of the other things are clearly overreaching, Brian. You can't get paid 40 hours a week for 32 hours of work. There's no way we can technically reinstate pension programs. So there's a number of add-ons here, whether they're just negotiating ploys, but it certainly is pushing both parties further apart.
All right.
And I think this is going to have a devastating impact on our economy.
Right. And, of course, the ripple effect down to dealerships who now, again, won't be getting cars. And now there's just kind of a wave type of strike where only 8% of the workers in Ohio, Michigan, and Missouri are out. But let's see if that grows or changes. But I got to bring you to something else in your notes that you said matters. And that's this government-subsidized push to green energy and these electric cars. The government is making sure electric cars are successful by giving these companies money to have these electric cars and subsidies for the consumers to buy them. That's not fair.
No, that isn't fair. I mean, let's unpack that for a moment. This is the very administration who is desperate to get endorsed by the UAW, and yet they're forcing the transfer from internal combustion engines to electric vehicles. My good friend Jim Farley has lost $6 billion in conversion to EVs over the past 2 years. He just took a $9.2 billion grant to build a battery plant in Michigan. That's proof positive that he's not trying to, eliminate union workers, UAW workers. Now, the problem is they're forcing something before it's time, Brian. They need an infrastructure to be able to charge these vehicles. And so no longer it's not, anxiety over EV, it's anxiety over the ability to charge these vehicles going forward. So this is going to continue to compound the problem that we have. And I think what's happening here also, Brian, is you've talked about it, the cost of these vehicles are going up. Second, I lived through this in 07, 8, 9 with Obama. This is just another page out of that playbook where they put in the CAFE standards, which eventually they had to take an off-ramp. This was forcing the consumer to buy small cars. You cannot force a consumer to buy something they don't want. And the problem is there's a lot more optionality now, right? Honda, Hyundai, Tesla. So I think that the UAW is in a very sensitive situation with a very fragile economy that could go sour on them.
I think a guy like you coming in would actually help with negotiations, especially when they hear you speak like that. Bob Nardelli, thanks so much. I know it must kill you not to see Chrysler as one of the big three forced to sell off Chrysler because Barack Obama decided that was the right thing to do. Maybe you'll get some investors and get it back. Bob, thanks so much.